Welcome to the Mike Miller Show.
Will I be a good man? Will I be true? True to myself, be true to you.
A little bit of a break, didn't we?
Yes.
Yes. Let's call it a vacation. But anyway, we're glad to have you with us today. Jessica being Jessica Jane, producer extraordinaire. So lots of stuff going on. Stuff's happened since we were last on, Jessica.
A lot
gotta talk-
happened in
pardon me?
Europe. Yeah.
We got to talk about Brexit today. I'm not an expert on Brexit, but I am an expert on liberals in America. So we're going to have to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about the gun control thing. I'm guessing you caught a glimpse, if not the news, about the Democratic sit-in.
Yes, I did see something about that.
Yeah. So we're going to have to talk about that. We have a good friend, been on the show multiple times, co-founder, editor-in-chief of The Politistic, Jennifer Burke, will join us in the second half hour. But there's just a lot going on. And I think, Jessica, probably at the top of the list on almost everyone's mind. I know it is mine. What the hell is going on with Sinead O'Connor?
I think she's just crazy. I think there's mental illness going on there.
You see the latest?
I mean, I saw when she disappeared for a few
yeah.
days and all that. And
Yeah, but there's a new one.
Oh, okay. What happened now?
Okay, so yesterday, and she apparently lives in Chicago. Isn't she Scottish or Irish or something?
Yes, I think she's Scottish.
Yeah, I think so too. But anyway, someone, and I'm not sure who it is, called the Chicago Police Department and said that within the hour, Sinead had threatened to kill herself by jumping off a bridge. That was yesterday.
Oh, okay. So she did that. She did another one like that. Yeah, because she's threatened to kill herself 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah, so she's showed back up and said it was it's nonsense and that the police are lying about the threat.
Really?
Which I don't know if you know very many police officers or police departments, but they get a big kick out of thinking about some insignificant, non-important pseudo-star from decades ago and making up stuff about her killing herself, right? I mean, that's on the top of their list.
Yeah, and I found out she is Irish.
Irish, that's right.
Yeah.
She is Irish. You've seen pictures of her recently, right?
Yeah, she's not looking well. Well, even her family her kids and everything have said that she's basically off her meds and, thinks she doesn't need them and such.
You would wonder if you can't institutionalize someone like this.
I think unless they pose a threat to themselves or others. And
well, I think if you're
if you're threatening to kill yourself, yeah, but there's
multiple times.
Yeah, I feel like there's, I don't know, a lot of red tape around that.
Then isn't there that thing, where people that constantly threaten to do it generally don't?
Yes.
Where those that, it's just kind of a cry for help, where those that do it and then everyone is shocked, like Robin Williams or something.
Yeah, that kind of a thing, yes.
Yeah, we need to move on, but this woman is nuts. When was she I should probably know the answer to that more than you because you're probably a child, but when was she last relevant? I don't even remember.
I think that song came out in 1990. I really don't know.
And what was that song?
Nothing Compares to You, which was written by
right.
Prince. Which was written by Prince.
That's right. Yeah, this poor woman needs help, and
yes,
I hope she gets it. Because her family's worried about her, right?
Everybody's worried about her. Actually, I think her family is at the point where they're just we don't even know what to do anymore. They're just done in a way.
Yeah, it's a shame. So Brexit, paid any attention to this?
Yes, actually, I have a bunch of friends in Europe from doing the cruise over there, and they have been losing their minds,
Now,
for and against.
okay, that's an outstanding place to start. Okay, tell me, since you've been talking to actual friends, give me, if you can, in a nutshell, like the ones that are for it that are losing their minds, kind of in a nutshell, what are they saying, and then vice versa, the ones
The
that
ones that were for Brexit are losing their minds because they're like, I can't believe people are unfriending me because I voted for this, and
well, yeah.
that doesn't make me a racist. That doesn't make me this. Blah 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 blah. Like I can't even believe how many times I've been called a xenophobe today,
So
and all
setting
that kind of
aside
stuff.
the ad hominem attacks,
Yeah.
like concrete reasons, like why do these people that want to leave, these friends of yours, like do they point out anything of substance why they think it's a good idea for?
Oh yeah, I was just saying what they were going
Yeah,
crazy about. But yeah, no, they said that they think that, the UK actually ends up having to pay a lot more for not getting a lot in return, and they're basically, they're just tired of having to prop up the rest of Europe,
right.
along with Germany, and they want to have more control over what happens in their country.
Exactly. And then the flip side of the coin, the ones that want to stay, what are they saying?
Well, they're saying that, I mean, basically that it's going to make the stock market crash. The mortgage rates are going to go up. The National Health Service is going to go away, so people aren't going to be able to get health care. Um, and what was the other thing? Oh, and basically just that, their pound is going to go, to the dirt because they're not going to be able to um, sustain themselves without the European Union.
Yeah. So that kind of in a nutshell encapsulates both sides of the coin in terms of what people are saying and thinking in Great Britain. And of course, you just take a trip through the top of Drudge. Oh gosh, global order jolted. Um, where are we here? The end of Europe as we know it. Merkel warns against knee jerk reaction. Europe will fall soon. Final nail in coffin for US EU trade. On and on and on. Worst nightmare, the whole bit. So, man, there's a lot of hyper ventilation going on right now.
Oh yeah. Like I said, everybody's been kind of. I was like, I didn't think I knew this many people in Europe, and everybody's just having a fit.
So let's come across the pond a little bit and kind of look at what some folks have said here. Ted Cruz put this up earlier today. Ted Cruz issued a statement, which I would like to read. It's relatively short, and this is why people who like Cruz, self included, like Cruz. The British people have spoken clearly. They choose to leave the European Union. The results of the Brexit referendum should serve as a wake up call for internationalist bureaucrats from Brussels to Washington, D.C., that some free nations still wish to preserve their national sovereignty. The British people have indicated that they will no longer outsource their future to the EU and prefer to chart their own path. This is the part I like. The United States can learn from the referendum and attend to the issues of security, immigration, and economic autonomy that drove this historic vote. In addition, we should treat the Brexit as an opportunity to forge a closer partnership with our historic friends and allies, and blah blah blah. But so there's the take of a conservative, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wake up call, red flag. U.S. can learn on. We'll get back to these issues. Then there's people like Steny Hoyer. You know who he is? Been around for 100 years in the Senate,
Yes, yeah.
liberal. Let me just read just a tad. I am very disappointed that the United Kingdom has chosen to separate itself from the European Union. It is clear that this act of self-inflicted instability was fueled in no small part by the anti-immigrant, isolationist populism we're seeing on the rise throughout the world and even here at home. And he goes on from there. So two completely different perspectives, right?
Yeah, and it kind of mimics a little bit of what I've heard going on actually there.
So you have, oh gosh, who was one of the what's her name? Lindsay Lohan all over this. Actually sounds fairly intelligent about it. She's throwing a fit. You have the entire left throwing a fit about this, obviously not in favor. I put up see if you can guess who this is. I posted a tweet on Facebook earlier, a couple hours ago or whatever. And all I said about it, I put the tweet up and I said, morbidly obese, irrelevant filmmaker scores the tweet of the day.
Oh, so Michael Moore?
Yeah, so Michael Moore commented, and we always care. I mean, we care what Michael Moore thinks about things, and we care when Cher Drunk tweets. You know, there are certain people that we like to pay attention to, and the morbidly obese, irrelevant filmmaker being one of them. So here's his tweet from last night. Europe, you are better off without the Brits. Now that there's a vacancy, take us. We want what Europe has. Free healthcare, free college, real beer. That's Michael Moore.
Real beer. I guess I could agree with the real beer part.
Doesn't he have a brewery or a partner in a brewery? Founders
I have no idea.
somewhere in. But
I
take
try to know
us.
as little bit about Michael Moore as possible.
Yeah, we want what Europe has: free healthcare, free college. Michael Moore is a lot of things, but stupid isn't one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe for a second that he believes in such thing as free healthcare and free college. That is code language for wealth redistribution from wealthy people to make healthcare and college, quote, free for the unwealthy. He knows there is no such thing.
Yeah, I think intellectually he does, but I feel like a lot of these people, the ideology trumps any kind of
Well, exactly.
yeah.
You just file this away under stupid stuff, rich liberals say. But see, and this has been my problem with liberalism ever since I started not being one. This goes back a long time ago now. But I believe that from Barack Obama on down, that the majority of liberals in government and in academia, I mean, that's a whole other circus. But I think the majority of intelligent liberals know what Michael Moore knows, that nothing is free, and it is code language, right, for redistribution of wealth, socialism. This is what this got Bernie Sanders written all over it.
Yeah.
I believe that they know that. Nancy Pelosi even knows it. I mean, as Botox riddled as her brain is, Nancy Pelosi knows there ain't no free lunch, but they say what they say, you know, and then throw in, you know, that conservatives hate old people, want to starve children, want voter ID laws to deny the vote to blacks. I mean, they have this thing down, but I know that these people, and that's why I think liberalism is evil. Not the folks that, like, you know, the low information voter or whatever, but the people that know better, but they espouse this crap.
Mm-hmm.
Drives me crazy. That was my soapbox for the day.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
So you mentioned xenophobia and some stuff. Rutgers professor blames the Brexit vote on white racists. The only thing I know that makes white folks vote against their own economic interests is racism. Jessica, do you think that that racism was behind this?
Maybe for some people, but I don't think that was why a majority voted for it.
Racism is because, in air quotes, is the reason behind why some people get up in the morning and go to bed at night. I mean, that they live that, right? Our friend Todd, I mean, that's what he's all about. But that's what Rutgers professor says. Your buddy Sean King, you know who Sean is, don't you?
Oh, the guy from
The pretend
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah,
he suffers from Rachel Dolezal disease.
He does. Wow, it really does look like the United Kingdom is going to be leaving the European Union. Don't know why. I'm shocked, but I am. Looks like these tweets from Sean. Looks like the main people in the United States who are cheering on Brexit are racists, conservatives, and white supremacists. These people are just bitter. Now, how does he know? I mean, you know what? I think I probably, well, maybe not as much as he does, but I think I peruse the internet based on what I do for a living pretty much as he does. Apparently, he's going looking into white supremacist websites or something, trying to find somebody who's for this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Racists, conservatives, and white supremacists. Well, Sean, I thought those were all one and the same, aren't they? And then he gets racists and bigots, all caps, hate being called out on their racism and bigotry. It's the strangest thing. You are a bigot, own it. So there,
Wow.
our pal Sean King. I, I don't know. Again, my understanding is, and I think correctly so, because I looked at polls, I've been paying attention to this stuff. Top 2, 3 reasons behind the vote to leave the EU. There is the concern for migrants, for immigration, what's happening to all of Europe, but particularly to the UK in their minds, right? You have the first, and he might be a great guy, the first Sadiq, what's his face? I don't have it in front of me. The Muslim mayor, the new mayor, is a Muslim of Londonistan. You have radical Islam. What was his name? Jihadi John. British citizens, radicalized Muslims. You have the free flow of immigrants coming into Europe, and that, I believe, is the number one. And by and large, you look at polls prior to the vote, number one concern. Secondly, somewhere in the neighborhood of 350 million pounds per day being transferred from the coffers of Great Britain to the EU. Promises were, we'll bring that money back, the majority of it to go into the healthcare system. So that's there. And like in the United States, there is quite a bit of disdain for politicians who make promises that don't come to pass. Of course, that's time in memoriam when it comes to politicians. But so that's kind of the top 3 issues. I don't hear in there racism, white supremacy, and all of the nonsense that we're hearing from the left. Of course, they would associate white supremacy and racism with the fact that you want to maintain your country. I hate to echo Donald Trump, but you either have a country or you don't. And we have a hell of a lot more of a country intact as we know it. It's kind of slipping away than does a lot of Europe. So do you understand? I mean, I can understand that.
I mean, I can definitely understand the people that are saying, like just having a control over the immigration to the country, because the EU was kind of pushing down a lot of the country's throats, the Syrian refugees, without checking them, without any kind of
Sure.
anything. So I can see that. I can see you know, wanting to say, hey, why are we spending this money? What does this actually get us? Raising the question. Like, I can definitely see that.
And speaking of money, I mean, to free yourself from the shackles of being any bit of responsible for Greece, right? And any other failed socialist experiment in Europe. So I get that part. And your friends that were for leaving as it relates to those economic issues, okay. But then on the other hand, there is something to be said about the EU and the stability, the trading bloc and the whole bit. And, it's interesting if you go back to post-World War II, this whole concept of the EU was ostensibly put together to avoid a third world war, right? I mean, they wanted to kind of get everybody intertwined so you didn't have these guys secretly hating these guys over here, and then you have the whole Hitler thing all over again. And that's a bit of an exaggeration. So, but I mean, I guess I do see both sides of the coin.
Yeah, that's what I said. I see both sides too. Because I do see, just having visited, you can go through several of those countries in just a few hours.
Right.
And so having kind of those agreements with each other, I can see how that works just for, being able to travel around. I mean, because I do have my friends that they live in Brussels, they work
Uh-huh.
in France, they're there constantly. So to have, instead of having to, maybe get a visa, do all that stuff, they're all, you know, that
Yeah.
is handled. So I can see that too.
Um, so I don't know. So that's Brexit. I just I get a kick out of again Hollywood and Michael Moore and folks all over it. And of course, we had Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton um, against Brexit, and Donald Trump for it. So, you have people here. I have friends on Facebook that, does this portend what is going to happen in November? Because there's a lot of similarities here. And the short answer is no. I don't think it has anything to do with it. Sure, Trump can boast about it for a while and can point out that Hillary was on the wrong side, and Obama as well as it relates to the vote. But I don't think it'll have much to do with November at all, and that's just my humble opinion. All right, so the gun thing in full swing after the Senate killed 4 gun control proposals earlier this week. Pocahontas Warren had my favorite response. Liawatha, Lizzie Warren. The Democrats, Jessica, we've talked about this before, but Democrats are excellent. And I alluded to it when we were talking about Brexit, right? Republicans want to starve old people. They don't care about children. They want to deny the vote to blacks through voter ID. I mean, a week ago, this is historical. I mean, remember 2012, they had the Paul Ryan look-alike push the old lady off the cliff in the wheelchair. Did you see that ad? I mean,
Yeah, I
this is
did see
just
that.
who these people are and what they do. So after the Senate votes down these 4 gun control proposals, which ultimately led to the ridiculous sit-in stunt, John Lewis and company, Lizzie Warren came out and said that because the Senate voted down those 4 measures, and I will quote her, the Senate GOP has decided to sell weapons to ISIS.
What?
Yeah, because they voted down gun control measures that is the equivalent of deciding to sell weapons to ISIS. And these people say this stuff with a straight face.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I mean, Liz Warren is Lizzie is probably very bright, and she knows damn well that this is completely ridiculous. But again, they don't care. They being the Liz Warrens, Barack Obamas, the Hillary Clintons, the Nancy Pelosi's, they don't care. They know of course they don't think that the GOP wants to sell weapons to ISIS. But what they do think is if I say this, the low information Democrat voters are going to be all over it. Just like the low information Trump voters are all over stuff that he says that's nonsense. Not that everything he says is nonsense, but he says a fair amount of nonsense. So again, they don't care if it's true or not. They don't care that they know it's not. What they care about is what? Convincing enough low information people to vote more for Democrats and less for Republicans. It is simply all it's about.
That's true.
And the Democrats have been, well, first of all, I had this discussion with my wife because she's a liberal, right?
Yes.
She tried to get into it with me. Not get into it with me. She goes, "Did you read Ruth Bader Ginsburg's what did she call it? Opinion, interpretation. That's what she called it. That's even better. Interpretation of the Second Amendment."
Oh Lord.
And I said no. And I said, but I'll go out on a limb and bet that it had something to do with her interpretation of the word militia. She goes, it did. How'd you know? I said, because that's their mantra. I said, that's who they are and what they say. But now I forgot where I was headed. I got nothing. They just don't care. They don't care if it's true or not. They're going to say what they have to say, and it is what it is. Hillary Hillary tweeted about it. Sometimes Hillary Clinton, Jessica, sometimes Hillary makes it too easy.
Yeah.
She just makes it too easy. So she tweets, this has been floating around Democratic circles, DC circles for at least a year. And this is about the no-fly list, right? Which they often call the terrorist watch list, which those are not one and the same, although the no-fly list is a subset. But anyway, this notion, and so Hillary sends out this tweet. It says, if you are too dangerous to fly in America, you are too dangerous to buy a gun in America. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have seen that. Nancy
Yeah.
Pelosi said the same thing too.
Yeah, they've yeah, like I said, it's been floating around for at least a year. They almost say it verbatim each time. So Hillary tacks on to it, this is just common sense. It's time for Congress to act. She tweets this. Example number 4,852 of why I love Twitter, particularly when people like Hillary or whomever go on and say stuff. And it happens on the other side too, but people go on and say stuff as if they're only tweeting to followers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so again, this is just common sense. So the first tweet response, if you're under FBI investigation, you shouldn't be allowed to run for president. It's just common sense.
I was waiting for that one.
If you are too reckless with classified information, you're too reckless to be president. It's just common sense. It's also common sense not to vie for a promotion after being horrible at your current job, but that isn't stopping you. If you can't control emails, you shouldn't be allowed to run for president. That's just common sense. Really, if you can't tell the American people the truth about Benghazi, how can we trust you as POTUS? That's just common sense. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, that was good.
When they just, they just don't, they don't think that people are going to
Call them out on stuff.
see that stuff and respond. Speaking of Hillary, I put this up a couple of days ago, but so Hillary's been hammered for a long time about her speaking fees, right?
Yes.
Yeah, $2.25 a pop. Really hammered over the 3 speeches she gave to Goldman Sachs for a grand total $675. By the way, she lied about that and she got caught lying. Do you remember? I think Anderson Cooper asked her, but did you really need to make $225,000 per speech? And she said, I don't know. That's what they offered, which is complete bull crap because it's in her records. It's her minimum speaking fee. But having said that, so Hillary hammered big time for a long time over these speaking fees. Which, my opinion is if somebody's willing to pay it to you.
I mean, that's what you're worth if someone's willing to pay it.
Yeah, except what are they expecting in return? So that gets into a murky territory there. But anyway, we've just got a couple of minutes. But so as if that wasn't enough, in Guccifer's latest data dump, this is the hacker from wherever, Romania, there is a document, I think from the DNC. They were checking into Hillary's speeches and stuff.
Yeah.
Here's a list. This is an addition. This is on top of, and you can keep me posted on time here, but this is on top of the $2.25. Hillary's demands: chartered round-trip private jet, Gulfstream 450 or larger, which must be paid in advance of the event.
Wow.
Gulfstream 450 or larger. Round-trip first-class airfare for one of Hillary's, quote, travel aides. Round-trip business-class airfare for 2 advanced staffers. Accommodations at a hotel identified by Hillary's staff, including a presidential suite and up to 3 adjoining rooms. A flat fee of $1,000 for a stenographer to create, quote, an immediate transcript of Secretary Clinton's remarks. Ground travel meals and incidentals and reimbursement for all phone and cell phone charges. I don't know if server included. That stuff is in advance. A Gulfstream 450 or larger, Jessica.
Yeah, wow. It's a lot of stuff.
So that's Hillary. Anyway, we might as well, let's take a break. We are already at the bottom of the first half hour. This is the Mike Miller Show. We will be back with my good buddy, Jennifer Burke from the Politistick. Don't go away.
I'd be a good man. Would I be true? True to myself. Be true to you. The devil is
Doug, I never thought I could go back to school, but when it's this easy, it fits.
I'm right there with you, Jackie, taking classes, watching lectures in the living room on the iPad. It's not hard.
I can be a mom, make dinner, get my classwork done, and not miss a moment with my family. It's amazing.
Yes, it is.
Hey, it's Jackie Velasquez, and if Doug and I can do this, you can do this too. Higher education with Liberty University Online.
Find out more about completing your college degree at the world's largest Christian university, Liberty University. Get all the details right now. Grab your cell and dial pound 250. When prompted, say the keyword Liberty University.
Training champions for Christ since 1971, Liberty University Online. Find out more about learning online. Dial pound 250, then say the keyword Liberty University.
Liberty University Online with hundreds of degree programs to choose from. Call now, pound 250. Say the keyword Liberty University.
That's pound 250, say keyword Liberty University.
A good man with the devil inside, and I'd be a good man without you. Without you.
I am joined, as promised, by my good buddy, co-founder, editor-in-chief of The Politistick, Jennifer Burke. Jennifer, hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, man. I told you, like, I'm fired up, and I know you guys are going to be moving soon and everything, so you got a lot going on. So seriously, I really appreciate you taking, 25 minutes, half hour, whatever, and sitting down and talking with me, and so we can just get it all off our chest.
That's right. That's so much so, gosh. We were up super late last night, later than we intended to be after watching Brexit and everything that was going on with that. So talk about excitement throughout the world.
Like I was going to ask you, and of course, this is somewhat tongue-in-cheek because I kind of had a feeling where you'd be coming down on this. But before we rung you up, I happened to click on The Politistick, and you guys need to go there, politistick.com, Politis stick. Well, no, not two S's. Mm-hmm. And I think this, this pretty much says where you're coming down. So text it. You know what? In fact, we made it a group effort on IJR this morning. We kind of pitched in on Slack, which is our kind of behind the scenes messaging system, and we came up with nicknames for all 50 states in the event that they decide to do what Texas would like to do, and that would be Texas, obviously. Some are better than others, but this is riling up a lot of conservative folks.
Yeah, it is. Texas is my home state. Will always be my home state, even though I haven't lived there for a little over 10 years. There's some little known things that people don't realize about Texas unless you've lived there. But it used to be its own nation. And when it joined the Union, it did.
Did we just lose Jennifer?
Did we?
Are you there? I guess that happened.
What are you going to do?
We'll try calling her back.
Yeah. Probably if there's any more independent-minded state.
Are you there?
Yeah, we lost you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my regular phone rang on my phone, and I guess it hung this up. Anyway, but I've seen other states fly their state flag at the same height as the U.S. The only state that can legally do so is Texas. So, and there's been a big movement for years, as we've witnessed just the overgrowth of the federal government for Texas to secede. I mean, some people think it would never, ever, ever happen. But what Britain was going through as far as Brussels, it's mirrored as one of the leaders in that movement said. I mean, with Texas, the one of the big driving forces with Brexit was immigration, and the immigration expectations and policies, set forth by the people in Brussels. And then in addition, I mean, we've seen how the EU has just been a financial disaster. I mean, you look at Greece, you're paying. And then when I heard that how much money they pay every year to be part of the EU, I'm like,
did you see?
They're paying all that money to be told what they can do and what they can't do.
Sky News today was questioning one of the leaders of the exit, and 350 million pounds a week.
That's insane.
A week.
Absolute insanity. And we see this with Texas. Texas is one of the states that led the fight against Obamacare, that challenged Obama with his unconstitutional amnesty and his other immigration programs that he did outside of his authority. And the people of Texas are sick of it. I mean, they're sick of it. And if the day comes, I was just telling this to Matthew a few hours ago, the whole United States has been wondering when the federal government is going to tell us we have to bail out California. I mean, there's already rumblings. We're going to have to bail out Puerto Rico. And then will it be California? Then will it be New York? Then will it be Washington State? All these other far left liberal states that don't run their states in a fiscal conservative way, that act like money grows on trees. And states like Texas are going to eventually be pushed to the brink to revolt, just like Britain was. And thank goodness for that Nigel Farage. I mean, from what I've heard, what they did in Brexit, the boots on the ground they had, the information that they got out to people, they were a lot more organized than the Remain side of the equation. Mm-hmm. And they got a 72% voter turnout. I think leaving Brexit won with like 1.3 million votes.
He was on Sky News this morning, and this is making its rounds. I don't know if you've seen it around the interwebs. And he sounds to have backpedaled a bit on this. One of the selling points they were making was this 350 million. That's how I know this number, because I saw this clip. But this 350 million pounds per week shuttled off to Brussels was pitched as if we leave the EU, this is going to go into the public healthcare system. And he was kind of backpedaling, well, I don't know if all of it or whatever. So, and again, I don't know that in and of itself is a major issue. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the money drained to the Greeces of the world and, to an extent Spain and places like that. But I think back to the immigration issue. I mean, sure, from Brussels, but the Islamization of Europe been going on all the time. And those chickens, to quote Jeremiah Wright, are coming home to roost. And I think that in and of itself, at least from a lot of what I read, driving force, the whole migrant situation, right?
Yeah. That was a huge driving force. I mean, I've said many times, people can say what they want about me for saying this, but I said, I wish I would have gone to London at some point in time before the Muslim takeover. I mean, I've seen videos. People want to act like there's not issues in London, but I saw a video from a couple of years ago, and a guy who goes into, he knows this area of town, and basically they knew who he was because he gets up in their face a lot. And basically a mob began surrounding his car, and one guy tried to punch him through the window, and he had to punch the gas to get out of there. I mean, it's completely changed, everything talk about having your cultural identity just completely stripped, of you. And did you see the map? Did you see the map?
No.
If you look at it, was Scotland voted. Almost all of Scotland voted to stay.
Just to stay, right? By the way, Trump today thanked them for voting to leave, and they informed him, no, that's true.
Oh, he thanked in Scotland for them to leave.
I
didn't hear that part of his cluster.
Yeah,
speech.
he was, and then of course somebody leaned over and said, no.
Right.
I don't know that it was in this, but anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Then if you look at the rest, London proper voted, was the one spot that voted to stay.
Right.
And, this large swath, every place else voted to leave. Wow. So if those people hadn't turned out to vote, they would have been stuck there. It would have been kind of like, New York City controlling the fate of upstate New York, or Western Washington controlling the fate of Eastern Washington, the libs on Western Washington controlling everything about the more conservative minded people in Eastern Washington. So, and then when David Cameron resigned, I looked at Matthew after it passed. And I said, can you imagine if David Cameron resigns, it's going to throw everything into a tailspin. And this was right after the BBC called it for Brexit. And then we were getting ready to go to bed. We had the TV on. We were trying to see what was going on. And we said, we saw that Cameron was going to have a statement at 8:15 London time. And we were like, oh my God, is he going to resign today, right now? And lo and behold,
he did.
Yeah.
It's just pretty historic, I guess. And now we have the mayor of Londonistan, Sadiq, what's his last name, Khan. He all but says he'd think it'd be great just to leave Great Britain. Of course, he didn't say that, but he's beside himself, making it sure that Muslims throughout the world know that you can come on over, today and everything's going to be fine. So, man, this is a big deal.
It is a huge, and even made even better by Obama, trying to press the notion of to try to lean people towards staying. When he gave a speech the other day, and they rejected that. I mean, people are tired of being ruled over, and good for them for standing up for themselves.
Oh, absolutely. And you had, we talked about it in the first half hour, but you had not only Obama, but Hillary sticking their noses in. And do you remember back in April, Obama ruffled some feathers a couple of different places, and Cruz lit him up. I'm looking for it in a post that I put up earlier. I put it. Did you read, by the way? Did you see Ted's statement?
We did.
Yeah.
We actually did it. Matthew did an article about it.
I did too. 74,000 and counting. People still care what Ted Cruz thinks, don't they? But anyway, so I included at the bottom. I said in April, Cruz blasted Obama. You remember what he said? He said that we would, quote, push the UK back to the back of the queue. Like, who in America says queue, right? But push back of the queue. Cruz slammed him then. He said, rather than scolding our closest allies for even considering exercising their rights as a sovereign nation, the president of the United States should look for ways to make Brexit, if it happens, an opportunity to enhance and strengthen the special relationship between our two countries. Gosh darn it, that guy should have been our candidate.
Yes, you should have been. He really should have been. And Trump had an opportunity when he was in Scotland. I did not hear his speech. I saw an article about his speech. I've just been busy all morning, but I'm like, okay, you have one of the most historic things in our lifetime happened, with Britain voting to leave the European Union. I mean, there have been talk about the breakup of the European Union, ever since Greece started just absolutely imploding, and he had an opportunity and he squandered it.
He barely talked about it. He talked more about the golf course.
Because that's what he's done throughout. I mean, look at every time he's won a caucus or a primary. It wasn't about what his vision was for America. It wasn't about anything rooted in America or, reigning in government or anything like that. It was always about the number of people that were there, his fabulous place that he was holding his event in, and his business accomplishments.
You know what, though? Not in his defense, but in skewering BuzzFeed. I put up a post earlier on IJR. BuzzFeed goes after Trump, and it shows a picture of it's got a GIF, and they tweet Donald Trump talking. I'm paraphrasing here. I don't have it in front of me, but while the world is on fire, Donald Trump talks golf. And they were just completely skewered on Twitter, as you might imagine, because someone else's name comes to mind when you think about the world being on fire in golf, right?
Right.
So, but you're right. I mean, I think he squandered the opportunity. So, I don't. It's right. I mean, it's the left stream media has just turned their back for the past 7.5, almost 8 years on Obama's golfing. I mean, goodness gracious, have you seen the meme going around about Reagan and the number of times he golfed because he didn't, and then even George W. Bush after 9/11 happened, he stopped playing
didn't golf.
After 9/11.
He stopped. Yet we're told Obama needs the rest and relaxation from what? Resting from his multiple Hollywood appearances? That's
right. I mean, it's those fundraisers are tough. Look, a lot of Trumpettes, Trump-Olumpas, Trumpineers, whatever that pisses them off when I say it. I'm sorry, but they have been doing their best. I have some good Facebook friends doing their best to say, does this portend, Trump was right and Hillary and Obama on the wrong side of history? Is this going to translate to November? And of course, the answer is no.
Right.
Do you
Right,
think?
yeah.
I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you even have people on Fox News that were trying to make this about Trump. They showed they want to take their country back. Trying to use the Trump language. But if you ask me, by Trump telling the people in Scotland, "Thank you for voting to leave," not even realizing it, well, then he just kind of knocked himself off of being able to take credit, for anything in regards to what happened with Brexit. If he didn't know what was going on, he wasn't
he didn't know
following it.
No, well, wait, Scotland, England, right? No, Donald, no. Anyway, I actually thanked Donald. I put a post on Facebook yesterday, and the headline was "Thank you, Donald Trump," and I got a picture of him there. And I said, no, I'm serious. I mean, in a roundabout way. But the bottom line is, I have completely broken myself of Fox News, and I was a Fox News junkie from its inception. But it obviously became apparent, with Fox and Friends and Trump in the morning. And whatever I can call Hannity when I'm not on the show. So I just kind of stopped watching stuff. Then I stopped watching O'Reilly, and then I stopped watching The Five, and then I even stopped watching Special Report. I watch One America News,
right?
And there are no commercials.
We don't get One America. We'll watch Newsmax at times. Frankly, we watch CNN a lot. CNN actually at least has some actual conservatives on against the Trump people, even though I wasn't too happy when they hired Corey Lewandowski. But look, did you see this about Fox? This explains so much. Now, we know the Trump cheerleaders at Fox, they've not hidden it. Greta Van Susteren, Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly, even after Trump made up with Fox, it has turned into one. Andrea Tantaros is no longer there. What's the other? Kimberly Guilfoyle.
What's his face?
Matthew saw
Bowling is almost as embarrassing as Hannity. Yeah.
Matthew saw an ad. I don't know if it was something that came up on a website. So Eric Bowling has a new book called Wake Up America. And it has a picture of the book, coming 6/28. And it says, a huge book in red letters that will help make America great again.
It just,
signed Donald J. Trump. This is the ad that Eric Bowling's running for his book. Explains so much.
Yeah. He borrows the Trump embroidered knee pads from Sean Hannity. I mean, it's just embarrassing. But anyway, I kind of in a roundabout way, I thank Trump because to your point, even like CNN, I turn that on and I think, gosh, this is actually a lot more balanced than it used to be.
It really is.
And a hell of a lot more balanced than Trump News Network.
Totally.
Right?
I mean, they have the fact that Tara Setmeyer, she's great. We love it when she's on there. Is on there, and frankly, it's actually disturbing to us.
I like Jake Tapper. I like Jake Tapper.
Oh yeah. But there are times when we listen to Van Jones.
Oh yeah.
It is sad when you have someone like Jeffrey Lord, who you would expect to be a lot more measured, reasonable, analytical in his thought, not just repeating Trump talking points. But I guess that's what he's on there to do. But you have Van Jones has said some things that they've had some great arguments back and forth, incredibly powerful. Nothing like that you'd ever see on Fox.
No,
and there are times that Van Jones has said things that we're like, he's exactly right on what he just said, and because he's not being the sycophantic leftist all the time on CNN like you would expect him to be.
Yeah. Speaking of, we were talking about immigration in Texas and Europe and stuff. Supreme Court effectively handed El Presidente his culo on immigration, did he not?
Yeah, he did, and it should have been. No one should have voted. I mean, the fact that you have any Supreme Court justice that would vote and say, "Oh yeah, Obama has the right to do this," shows you what judicial activist Obama and has appointed to the Supreme Court. I mean, seriously, you can't. The president can't do half the things Obama has done with his out of control executive orders and creating law, because he's literally gotten people to believe that the job of Congress is to say yes sir Obama when Obama says that he wants it. I've seen leftists argue on social media, well, if Congress won't do what he wants, that's not Congress's job to do. He's not a freaking king. We're supposed to have the judicial branch, the executive branch, and the legislative branch, and they're all supposed to be equal. But no, they haven't been in recent years.
Well, of course, then, John Boehner didn't help our cause with that, because it seemed like, he'd go out to the podium and talk like Barney Fife and puff his chest out. But when push came to shove, he'd fold up like a cheap lawn chair every time.
Yeah. It's like they were afraid of their own shadows. I don't know if they were afraid of being called a racist because Obama's black. I swear that's why the Democrats kicked Hillary to the curb in 2008.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And I also think that the John Boehners of the world, the Mitch McConnells, I said this for several years at least, that they're scared to death of the mainstream, supposedly mainstream media, because they know that they're on the Democrat side. And I think the final straw, Jennifer, for a lot of people, the 2014 midterms, the Democrats got their asses handed to them. I mean, they did. And I think that we finally went, we got both houses of Congress. And it was as if by January that the Republicans had gotten their asses handed to them.
Right. It was, they, Paul Ryan gave Obama everything he wanted, basically. It really is astounding. And that also, I think, plays into this whole Texit push that's coming now, is because, we're supposed to have this two-party system. Some people on our side get upset with us when we attack Republicans, and we're like, look, we don't care what letter you have next to your name.
Right.
If you're going against freedom and the Constitution and liberty, and you're siding with big government and wanting to strip people's rights away, we're going to call you out on it. And frankly, I expect the Republican Party to be the party that takes the stand for the Constitution. The Democrats lie through their teeth when they put their hand on the Bible and say, I'm going to uphold and defend the Constitution. We saw that with their sit-in the other day, wanting to. I was telling Matthew, I said, why aren't, instead of using the words gun control, why don't they say, Democrats are trying to strip away the Constitution's Second Amendment, something like that. It's right. Gun control. I mean, the language is really important, but that's what frustrates people in places like Texas, is because there's little voice for really the people. And when you have the one voice, Ted Cruz, that really has fought for the rights of the people, I actually read, someone actually wrote, if Ted Cruz would have just done more when he was in the Senate, or before that, like he's saying he'll do when he's president. I'm like, are you kidding? Do you understand the things that Ted Cruz did and argued before the Supreme Court for when he was the Solicitor General of Texas? Do you know the fights that he took when it wasn't popular, when it got him condemned by leadership, when no one else would do it? It really is astounding. And I don't know if there are enough. I mean, I'm really interested in what drove. It really must be even worse with immigration in Britain than we thought. For 72% of the people to stand up in a country, that's known to be pretty socialist, government-run healthcare and all that, to stand up and say enough.
I think
when we have people on our side that are crying for bigger government.
I think it's the migrant thing and the fear that, the Brits may be socialists, but they are British first and foremost. And I think that the notion of losing their country identity, especially when you look at London and those areas, I mean, I think it scares a lot of people. You're right about Cruz, and you could ask the average Trump fan to come anywhere near articulating what you just said, let alone understanding it. But what does it say about the majority of the people that voted for this guy? And I should not call them bowling shirt mentality, but I have when we have a Donald Trump. I mean, I will never, ever get it. We've got, 3.5 weeks or thereabouts till the convention. So what do you think? I mean, who's the VP? I mean, do we care? Do we care?
Who is the VP? I wonder.
I mean, who the hell would want that job?
I know. Don't you think it's interesting that as names have been leaked as possibilities, or as people would think would be possibilities, when you look at some of the quote unquote rising stars in the Republican Party, then they'll say, you know what, I'm not interested. And then Trump, instead of being gracious, will lash out. Well, who cares if they're not interested? They weren't under consideration anyway.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, how are you going to unite a party when you're that petulant and small. And I mean, for him to ask Susana Martinez for her support after he trashed her in her own state, I think spoke volumes.
It speaks like just like him giving away the cufflinks with the Cuban zirconium.
I got to say this. Did you see Steve Deace's from Conservative Review, his video?
No.
A video he did. I'll send it to you on Facebook.
Yeah.
It was basically, what would you do basically if you wanted to destroy the Republican Party?
And then do what Trump did. Yeah.
Yep. It's pretty powerful.
You know what? I'll go out on a limb and guess Jeff Sessions.
Probably, but it'll be,
I think he'd
that be successful? Because frankly, he ticked a lot of people off.
Well, I think it just gets down to like who's willing to take it.
That is what it's going to come down to.
And Sessions is carrying his water as well as anyone else.
Well, many other people have said Newt Gingrich, but then others have said they're both too. Newt's personality is probably too strong. For Trump.
Yeah, although he probably. Well, I don't know. The Council of Newt, supposedly it's been going on a long time. One of those two guys. All right, we're kind of winding down. I got to get your so Marilyn Mosby's 0 for 3 now.
Yeah. When she filed the charges against those police officers, it was so fast. The people on the left and the right were like, she's overcharging these people. There's no way she has the evidence for these charges to stand. And if you saw her when she made her announcement, she didn't come across as a state's attorney. She came across as I can say this because I'm black, an angry black woman.
She did.
She did, an angry black woman activist in her voice and on her face. And I think that's what she was having drive her decision. And now she's 0 for 3. I mean, with these first 3 being found not guilty, or I think one of them was a mistrial.
Mistrial. And that's good.
I'm guessing because I'm guessing the others will probably be the same. I'm guessing.
And I would, because the guy this time, whose name escapes me, was the driver, and he faced the most serious charges. Among them, secondary manslaughter, I think, and then aggravated, one of them was real weird, like something to do, like angry heart, something or other. I'd never heard it before, but so that goes down in flames. And the reason this woman, and I am not a black woman, but the reason this woman comes across as an angry black activist woman is because she's an angry black activist woman. I mean, right? Yep. I mean, that's pretty simple. But I gotta think this would have some effect on her future political aspirations.
Well, I mean, one would think, but she is a Democrat.
And
I mean, Democrats just unless they end up in federal prison, they end up getting rewarded. I mean, look at Charlie Rangel. I mean, remember when his whole tax thing, stealing money and everything, and people still vote him into office. I'm sure that she'll end up, even if she ends up not being in office, she'll be rewarded somehow, some way. I mean, Elizabeth Warren, and the reason Trump calls her Pocahontas, for those that don't know, is because she claimed to be partially Native American because her pow had high cheekbones and reaped benefits because of it. And now her name is in the mix for vice president.
Jessica, give us an extra minute here. But did you see, Jennifer, so they have the sit-in. Right? And by the way, I put an article up on IJR, and I don't have it up in front of me, but I do. We tend to do snarky headlines. I said I did this yesterday. The Democrats put on, and then in quotes, heroic display at their gun control sit-in. Meanwhile, at the buffet line, ... And so one of the congressmen in there was tweeting different pictures and stuff, and they're all dour-faced, John Lewis and stuff. And then they show the buffet. They're not really roughing it. But anyway, the speculation was whether or not, and it looks like Elizabeth Warren is sitting Indian style on the floor.
Surprised she wasn't wearing a feather hat.
Yeah. So did you see what she said? We'll wrap it up here. But when the gun votes went down, right, the 4 measures, her tweet was the Republican Senate wants to sell guns to ISIS. Did you see that?
Yeah, just disgusting.
Yeah, that was pretty special, wasn't
Meanwhile, Barack Obama did get guns to the Mexican drug cartel, but that's another story.
Yeah, but George Bush started that. I mean, that's their whole deal. All right, we got to get out of here. So where do people find your stuff?
Politistic.com, POLITI stick.com, and on Facebook, facebook.com/politistic.
One of the good guys, Jennifer, and her husband, Matthew. Give my regards to him. We got to have him back on soon. Jennifer Burke, as always, man, thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend. Talk to you later.
Go text it.
Woohoo!
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, Jessica. I think we can wrap, can't we?
Yes, we can.
Love me some Jennifer Burke. You guys have a great weekend. We will not be here Monday, will we?
No, I have to be out of town.
We will be here a week from today.
We could be here Wednesday too.
I'm telling the guys. So sometimes absence makes the heart go fonder. But anyway, thanks for listening to the Mike Miller Show. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week. You guys have a great weekend.
I think it's time to get away.